how's Comic-Con?
Hello and welcome to Josiah is Right, and let's look back at Comic-Con, the convention, and my collecting. So I just wanted to do a little recap of our adventure at Comic-Con. So we went down on Friday with the kids, and it was just really tiring. It wasn't really the kids that were a factor, although they were very tired out by it. We were just there for maybe on the floor for an hour, I don't even know. Picked up a few things, walked around, looked at a few things. We were hungry because, you know, we drove from Huntington Beach to San Diego that morning, got lunch, and then went up to Carlsbad, where we have family. We had dinner with them, and we were originally going to stay in Carlsbad for Friday night, Saturday night, and just be down there, but we decided Friday just to go home, have Saturday here at home, and then go back on Sunday. And we went back on Sunday without the kids. They were at my wife's parents, and so that was nice because we just didn't, you know, it was nice to just be with my wife and I. Like, we used to go to Comic-Con. It's fun to have the kids, but we very rarely get time together, just us. And if we do, it's usually going to see a movie, which is nice, but it's nice to be at something where we're interactive with each other, more so than a movie. But it was fun. So right now, I'll show you some highlights from Comic-Con. So those are a few of the highlights, and since I showed you in that little bit some of the Mattel stuff that we saw, I want to show you some of the Mattel collectibles that I got. So first up is the Mattel Creations, which is what I call it now, I guess, Hot Wheels, like Jeep diorama. I haven't actually opened this. I haven't broken the seals on this because I'm not sure if I'm going to keep it now. So in the event that I don't, I want to keep it mint, and I bought it for myself, but now I'm just kind of hesitant because I like Jurassic Park, but it's not like a huge part of my collection type of thing. Although the other thing that I definitely want in my collection is a Jurassic Park thing, because as a kid I was a big fan of the toys and all that. The next thing I bought that I definitely bought to sell is the Monster High doll, because I just thought it was cool, and they always have like Monster High and things like that sell well, and I'm not like, I don't usually flip stuff, but I usually try to buy something to sell to help pay for what I get. Finally from Mattel, so you have the outer box number 2, and box number 3. So you can see this cool, just black, slick Jurassic Park box. And then finally, Steven Spielberg directing Jurassic Park. I love this toy. I was a big fan of Jurassic Park as a kid, and I had the what's it, Muldoon action figure, I had Alan Grant, and I had a couple of dinosaurs. I had, of course, I had a raptor that I loved. I had a T-Rex that I got from a friend that didn't have any arms, so that was like, you know, when they were the rubbery ones with the battle damage. But none of that survived my childhood, so this kind of is the representative toy for me as an adult. So it has the, you know, the clapper thing, which works, which is awesome. The stuff from the movie, then Steven Spielberg exclusive. A really cool toy. I really like this one for collection. It'll look great somewhere on the shelf. That was Mattel. So let's take a little bit more of a look at some of the other highlights from the floor. So a big part of Comic-Con, which is always fun, is bags. Bags that you get that you might not want. Somewhere here, I have a Mattel bag. And I remember years ago that Hasbro used to do really cool bags and really cool big bags, and I love them. And I don't know if I still have any, but Mattel has always been lesser with the bags. They basically have had this version, at least from my experience. And then I have, you know, a red one somewhere. So it's, you know, it's a bag, it's a tote bag that says Mattel on it. But I remember, I like the Mattel one, the red one rather, because it's like the red, Mattel red kind of thing. But the real bag that I am excited about was, there were some people that had Simpsons, which I loved, but I loved my Futurama bag. So you have the, you know, Comic-Con backpack bags that they started doing several years ago. I still like the shoulder strap bags better myself, because I do not like wearing these in the backpack because they're not comfortable. I guess it's kind of practical, but I just prefer the shoulder strap bags myself. But this one, design-wise, I love it. We also got one for Solar Opposites that I can't find right now. So it's not in this pile, it's somewhere in the house. But we got 2 of those, and the girls got 2 bags. So we got 2 Futurama and 2 of the Solar Opposites. Is it here? Oh, it is here. I thought it was still in the house. So here's Solar Opposites, which is actually technically Penny and Prim's, because this is the batch that whenever they gave them bags that they pulled this out. So, and I'm not familiar with the show, I haven't seen it yet. So, but obviously a big fan of Futurama. So those are some of the bags. And now at Comic-Con, I always tried to buy some kind of comic book, and I bought a few this time. So let's take a look at those. So first up is Usagi Yojimbo with this variant cover. This is one of 500. Stan Sakai's cover, and I wish that he was signing, and that's why I went there and I was gonna get him to sign it, but he was wrapped up at that point. But I still wanted to get it just to have some kind of comic book from Comic-Con, just like a single comic book, even though I already had bought one other single comic book and a couple graphic novels I'm gonna show you. But I totally forgot, but I just missed the time. So, and he even said hi to me whenever we walked up to his booth, but I didn't get a signature from him on that. So they were like, oh, come back at, this was Sunday, and they're like, come back at 4. I'm like, we're done. We were well on the road by that point. So, and then the next one is my other single comic issue. Oh, I didn't realize it's upside down. It's Zen Intergalactic Ninja 3D convention special, which is fun and gimmicky, and Zen in the 90s especially loved their fun, gimmicky number 1s, number 0s, chromium covers. So this is a fun throwback for me in that regard. And so this will be good for the Zen video I'm working on. I got to meet Dan Cote's son at the convention, who sold me these comics working at the First Comics booth. And I have this graphic novel, which is by Dan Cote. So it was funny that I'm buying it from his son, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm working on a Zen documentary. And he's like, oh, that's my dad, Dan. So this is one of the graphic novels that they had for Zen by Dan, and I'm not sure if he was at the convention or not. I think he was. Obviously his son was. And then from Steve Stern and Marat Michaels, who was signing somewhere else, and Steve was signing, but I wasn't there when Steve was signing, so I missed him each time he was there. I don't know what his schedule was, but like I said, we were only there Friday. I bought these on Friday just for a little bit, and then we were back on Sunday, so we weren't there, you know, Wednesday night, Thursday, or Saturday. But Hard Bounty, which is, they're coming up with a sequel to this that they're doing as a Kickstarter, with Bill Mouse is doing the art, who is like, kind of like, not obviously Dan Cote is the original Zen artist, but Bill Mouse is kind of the, as I told him in an interview that I haven't posted yet, that I did for my Zen documentary, that all just fell, that I'll post separately. He was kind of the artist of Zen, you know, the artist of record for me when I found Zen. It was his comic book, it was his art, his version of Zen that was the one that I first connected with. So how about a little bit more highlights from that show floor as I pick up the stuff that just fell. I hope that Usagi Yojimbo didn't get bent. Good news, Usagi Yojimbo is okay. How about a little bit more of the floor from the convention while I figure out what I'm gonna show you next. show you a couple of small things first here. So this is a Comic-Con exclusive from the San Diego Public Library, which as a resident of California, I can get a library card in San Diego. And they have a really cool looking public library, like their central library, like downtown there is huge. And you know, we have family in Carlsbad, and it's not unreasonable to go to San Diego every now and again, so to check out the library. So this is their Comic-Con exclusive library card, which is cool because it's just fun. So, you know, it even says 2023 like exclusive. So I got one, Judy got one. And then next is from the Costume Designers Guild. They had a small booth and I got to meet them there. So they had, I wish I got more of them, but they had these little, it was a cool idea, trading cards of some of the things they're designed. So there's Mystery Science Theater, and it tells you the costume designer, Samantha Kunster. We have Kate Hawley, costume designer for this Galadria. We have Ariel Boroff, costume designer for Larry David there. Philip Boutte, forgive me for saying your name incorrectly, for that's Neymar from Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Christian Cordella for Guardians Volume 3. And oh, I got 2 of the Galadriel ones. So, but it was cool because I have my Josiah trading cards that I always carry with me when I go to these events. And so I was like, oh, I could give you a trading card for my trading card. So it was cool to meet them and to just get, you know, like a different, unique collectible. And they had more of these that I didn't grab that, I just grabbed the stuff that was kind of genre-y and sci-fi just by instinct, other than like the Larry David. And so, but those are cool. That was a fun thing. It was nice to meet them there. I also met, I didn't get any pictures or anything, I met Sam Jones, who is Flash Gordon from the, you know, the late 70s film, and he was a super nice guy. I think I might have met him at a convention before, but I never spoke to him at length, or not like super long, but I knew rather, Lorenzo Semple Jr., who wrote that film, through Coleman Huff, one of my mentors at USC, one of my teachers. And Coleman was close with Lorenzo, and he would come to class. I got to meet him several times. And I would ask him about his different writing, 3 Days of the Condor, Flash Gordon, Parallax View in particular. I love that. I love that movie in particular. He really would talk about playwriting and transitioning into that, and the Batman show, and all these things that he wrote throughout the years. But point being, you know, I was like, hey, I knew the guy who wrote the movie, so we were talking about writing and getting time to write. And it was weirdly encouraging that, like, he's like, oh, it's something you can just, you know, you gotta focus on it, do it every day and improve at. And it was just a cool, like, weird bit of encouragement from him. I didn't buy anything from him. I almost feel bad, but I just didn't want to spend the amount of money to get something signed. He had some cool stuff though, some stuff that was illustrations that were prints like signed by him and Alex Ross, because Alex Ross did some illustrations for like the Flash Gordon a few years back that really are very cool, but I didn't get anything from him. But it was a cool to meet him. So another thing that is an exclusive, I think, it's the Star Wars calendar 2024, but it's really, really cool because it's kind of like the, you know, Star Toursy type of thing, promoting each of these planets. And I love these big calendars like this, these big, long, tall calendars. I used to have like the Marvel ones, DC ones that were like the classic comic covers, and I haven't seen them for a while. And so I was excited to see that just for that reason. So we picked this up at the convention. This is like one of those things, you know, just walking by that, because you happen to walk down a specific aisleway that you find that you don't know was there. So that was really cool. So with that, let's take a look at more of the show floor at Comic-Con. Rogue. How's Comic-Con? How's Comic-Con, Rogue? Nice. You shake? You shake?
Yeah.
Good girl.
Good girl.
one of our last collectibles. This is actually not for me. This is for Paul. So Paul might, I don't know, maybe you'll see this. This is a test of, do you watch my videos, Paul? I know Mom will see it. I joked with friends and say, hey, Mom watches my stuff. So this is a Unicron pencil holder. So Paul had the big giant Unicron from HasLab and he sold it because it was insanely big. The box was in the living room and it was just giant, the box. So he just like unloaded it because it was just this massive thing. So, but this is kind of like to honor that and to encourage him hopefully to put some pencils in here and create some cartoons. So Paul, make some cartoons with Unicron at your side, or at least Unicron's head. So a few other things, I got to meet Pat the NES Punk, who I'm a fan of his podcast and their coverage of the Amico, and I'm just kind of obsessed with the story behind that and Tommy Tallarico and kind of the nature of sort of his lies. It's unfortunate and weird, but just sort of how the stories would spin, and like watch the H-Bomber Guy video on that. But it was cool to meet Pat because Judy and I saw him in Pixel Dan walking down the floor, and Judy recognized him too because, you know, she's seen me watching some of the videos, and she's like, oh, you should say something. I was like, I don't want to bother him. So we walked into the Hasbro area and I was gonna take a picture of an AT-AT, which I just, you know, it was like a vintage one that they had on display. So as I walked over to like take a picture of that, get some video of that, he happens to be standing right there waiting for the Hasbro Selfie Series figures. They had like, the figures were just normal ones that you can get, but it was an exclusive like box that it would come in. And so he was waiting with Pixel Land to get a Selfie Series figure. And it was funny because, you know, I'm not one to bother people, but, you know, if you're in a situation like that, I'm like, oh, I'll say hi. And I told him, you know, kind of what I said just now about the Amico coverage. And I joked how Judy's probably sick of listening to it. And it was just cool to get to meet him.
It's a great event. I'm just lucky I live locally.
We're in Huntington Beach, so it's not too bad. Yeah, I had a really good day on Sunday, just walking around and just being more chill without the kids. And it was fun. So the last couple of collectibles, this is a Koki's Ryu, and I got this because several years ago, like 10 years ago more, Kid Robot did an exclusive Evil Ryu. I never got that one. I was super sad that I didn't get that one because I love Kid Robots. In my old place, those were, you know, the shelves were full of those. Now they're in storage to my right here behind you guys. And the second I saw this was it's from Bait Collectibles, but it was at the Capcom booth. I just had to get it because just like sort of a reflection of, you know, I like Street Fighter, but more so of that, you know, a version of that Kid Robot that I never got, that I have myself, an Evil Ryu that's a little bit bigger than the Kid Robot, so he can dominate some of the others, but still like kind of like style-wise is somewhat compatible with that. And finally, my favorite collectible, the thing that I most wanted. So we went through on Friday and I'm walking down and I saw this display with Paluto, with the Scott Pilgrim. I'm going to show you here. Here's a teaser. And then I saw to my right Super 7's booth with the massive Cats layer for Thundercats. It's awesome. It's huge. It's ridiculous in the best ways. And so I got distracted by that. I wanted to get some video of that, and then we left right after that. And I forgot to go back because this is something I really wanted to get. This is exclusive version of Scott Pilgrim with the Astro Boy shirt. That's what makes it a variant. And I didn't realize they had a Ramona at the convention. I got this, fortunately they still had this left on Sunday. And I think Brian Lee O'Malley actually did a signing later. And I got to meet Justin, who makes these, and it's great stuff. Really just like the box itself is beautiful. I'm gonna open it because I have to, but I almost don't want to. But it just looks great. It'll look, you know, I kept the box, it would look great, but it'll be awesome when I open it. I'll probably do a video on that separately. But it was really cool to get to meet Justin, who makes this, to talk about the Pluto toy. I talked about how like I had that toy line because it was clearanced out, so I had like every figure in that line. But this is like another one that several years ago, there was a Scott Pilgrim toy, I don't even know who made it, that was like special because it had his jacket. And that was a Comic-Con exclusive, you know, like 10 plus years ago, like when we first started going. And we couldn't get it. They sold out of a popular item. This was when Scott Pilgrim was like super, super popular. And I was always disappointed, you know, it was like, kind of like that Evil Ryu that was up there with the ones that I really wanted. So it was kind of cool to get this to kind of check that box in a sense for me, but to also get to meet Justin who makes this, and it just, you know, it's a very special collectible for that. It was a highlight of the convention, and so I had a great time. That was Comic-Con 2023, and we had 2 really solid days. One really solid day, one good day that was shorter, and look forward to going back next year where we'll hopefully plan things out a little bit better. And maybe, just maybe someday, I'll have a booth there. Everyone keeps asking me about that. We will be at LA Comic-Con, which is much smaller than Comic-Con proper here, but I'm sure bigger than the last time I was there. So I will see you in LA in December, I think it is. In the meantime, thank you for watching. Subscribe, like, comment, and I'll see you in San Diego, or I'll see you at my booth at LA Comic-Con. Bye.